Hi, my name is Gillian Hyams. I am a solicitor at Gillespie McAndrew. I work in the private client team, and I'm also a member of the Edinburgh Care Forum.
Hi, my name is Laura Chapman and I run and own Chapmans, a property lettings and management company based in Edinburgh, and I'm also a member of the Edinburgh Care Forum.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining me today. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, what is the benefit of renting out a property?
Oh, that's a great question, Gillian. So there's lots of different reasons why you might want to rent out a property. Probably first and foremost is it generates an income for you. So you rent out the property, your tenants pay their rent, and hopefully that covers all your outgoings and bills and gives you extra income on top to supplement any other income that you might have. Also, by renting out a property, hopefully for a number of years, you will also benefit from capital appreciation. Obviously, prices can go up and they can come down, but generally, property prices, as long as they're well maintained, seem to go up. So when you rent out a property, you're getting income, but you're also getting capital appreciation, which is great. It's also important if you want to keep this property for whatever reason. Maybe you've moved abroad and you want to come back in a few years, or maybe it belongs to a relative who's gone into a care home, but you want to keep this property longer term. Then it's great to rent it out, not just for the income, but also to keep the property in good shape. So a property needs to be lived in, it needs to be heated, it needs to be ventilated and looked after. And obviously, in terms of insurance and all of these sorts of things, it can be really important to have someone living there. The other thing as well, another reason why someone might rent out a property is we sometimes have families who rent out the family home. Now, if that property is worth quite a lot of money, they might have spent, anywhere between £50,000 to £100,000 actually buying the property in the first place in terms of land and building transaction tax. I hope I've got the acronyms right, and additional dwelling supplement and all of these sorts of things that they might have to pay to actually buy that property, as well as the selling costs for selling that property. And if there's any reason that those owners want to come back and live in that property one day, then it could be a good option, if they can afford to do so, to keep hold of it, rent it out, and have it grow in value and also generate an income and be looked after. And even if they did, say, come back to Edinburgh, which is where I operate, and they decided to buy elsewhere, hopefully that property has kept pace with the market in terms of valuation. So they've not fallen behind, they're still on the property ladder. So lots and lots of reasons why people rent out the property, but usually income and capital appreciation, and then plus any other additional reasons for holding on to that property.
I think with LBTT, on properties in Edinburgh, it can be quite high, can't it? So it is, if you are able to hold on to a property rather than selling one and then quickly buying another one, it must be quite a big saving for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the very higher ends of the LBTT, you can be 10%. And if you're buying if it's a property that you've bought that wasn't your original home, you may have also had additional dwelling supplement to pay on top of that as well. So yeah, the costs of physically buying property are a lot more now. And that also means, though, that you often have really good quality tenants who, they're not buying big properties speculatively because of these costs. And so actually, for worst case, £80,000, £100,000, you could actually rent a really, really good quality property for 4 years or so, instead of buying. And so if you're not sure if that's exactly the place you want to be in. And we do see that a lot. We have some really good quality tenants who want to rent these fantastic properties because they're not sure if they really want to tie up all their cash.
Right.
And if it's really the right place for them. So for them, renting gives them a lot of flexibility, but our landlords get a great return on their property as well. So it can be a really good win-win.
Yeah, win-win for both. Yeah, that's great. Why would someone rent out a property using an agency, Laura?
Oh, well, That's a loaded question. So yes, I mean, obviously anyone can rent out their own home, and there's no issues with that as long as you're fully informed, and ideally if you live nearby. But it is a highly regulated sector. Over the past, we're in 2022 now. In the past 5 years, there has been so many changes, more legislation. The whole tenancy regime has really come under the political spotlight. So you can very easily get things wrong. And so by using an agency who they have to be approved by the Scottish Government, so their staff have to be highly trained, they have to pass various exams, they have to have client money protection insurance, lots of continuing professional development. There's lots of things that they need to have in place to make sure that the landlord, but also the tenant, are protected. All of these things we do day in, we do day out. So, it's bread and butter for us. We know what we're doing. But if it's not your full-time day job and you're not looking after a lot of properties, you could easily get things wrong. And if you've got a very tricky or savvy tenant that knows the system, then you could find yourself in hot water without meaning to be in a difficult situation. So using an agency for all the regulation now is really important. But also, if you like your sleep, it can be important too. So most agencies, certainly we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency line. In fact, it rang last night at 3 o'clock in the morning. So the agency will take those antisocial calls so that you don't have to. So they're ready. They've got good tradespeople that they can rely on to deal with things. But they know what to do. They know how to calm a tenant down, try and mitigate the issues, so that the property is well looked after, and no unnecessary expenses. The other reason to use an agency is now tenants only have to give 28 days notice. So when a tenant gives that notice, an agency should be poised to relet that property in 24 hours, like have it back on the market, viewing sessions set up, because you really don't want to have any lengthy empty period, because if you've got an empty period, you're not earning any money on the property, and that reduces your income yield. So a good agency is poised to have a property relet really quickly, so that you have a really efficient turnaround. Other things as well is just really a good agency will keep your property's rental amount up to date with market values. We do annual rent reviews. We don't always put the rents up. Sometimes we have the most amazing tenants, and the landlords really recognise that. But we just let the landlords know what they could be getting, and we come to whatever agreement they want us to come to. But they'll keep your property in pace with the market. And then probably finally, there's lots of reasons, but sometimes it's a professionalism. Some tenants prefer to rent via an agency because actually it's less emotional. And sometimes the landlords prefer to have that intermediary in the middle who can make difficult decisions and guide them through difficult decisions in a more professional and, again, less emotional way. So lots of different reasons, but hopefully that's a few that might justify our existence.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Laura. So, Laura, as a letting agent, what do you actually do beyond collecting the rent?
Oh, nothing at all. We just sit back and watch the money roll in. No, so gosh, we do lots and lots of different things, and no day is the same. But probably most importantly, so yes, we collect the rents and actively chase up any that are slightly delayed or anything like that. So that's really, really important. We keep your property compliant. So we make sure you have all the right safety certifications, whether it's your boiler, whether it's your electrics, whether it's for Legionella risk assessments. There's lots of different things that we do as an agency to make sure that it's compliant and it's safe, to keep the landlord safe from any complaints, but also to keep the tenants safe from making sure it's a safe property. So we keep top of compliance. We keep our landlords and tenants on top of legislation. And, as we've all known through the coronavirus pandemic, legislation has changed rapidly, and there's been a huge number of updates. And there's been another recent update to the legislation in terms of just notice periods and things like that. So we're on top of all of that, so our landlords don't need to be. We are there for emergencies, 24/7, always there. There's always one of my team at the end of the phone. It's often my husband, which is there for me. But we also, not just emergencies, we do planned maintenance. So we will do refurbishments, renovations, and deal with ongoing minor maintenance issues so that they don't build up into big things. But we can plan to do big refurbishments. We can stage our properties to make them look brilliant for lettings, professional photographs, and we can even do virtual staging. So using clever computer-aided design to maybe if you've got an unfurnished, empty property, we can put in furniture so you can get a feel for how the space could work and selling a lifestyle. We do vigorous referencing. We can take any cases to the first tier tribunal if we needed to. But really, I think on the whole, what we do is we just make that relationship work so that you have a happy landlord, a happy tenant, and a happy, well-maintained property. So we know all the legislation, but ultimately we're managing all the different people, the landlords, the tenants, the contractors, my team, to make sure it all works, so that, fingers crossed, everybody is happy with a fully occupied property.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks, Laura. It sounds like it's a lot of your work is involved with sort of keeping everyone on the right page and making sure everyone's, fulfilling their duties and everybody sort of knows what their rights and responsibilities are.
Absolutely. And also just helping people make common sense decisions, because although we can say, right, this is what the legislation says, actually, we know our tenants and our landlords. If we can come to a conclusion that works for everybody, then we'll do that. We'll definitely apply that common sense to try and have the best possible outcome.
Brilliant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks very much for your time, Laura. It's been great to chat to you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.